1. In high school, I worked at a Chick-fil-A across the street from my school. This meant dealing with entitled brats and their parents almost every day. So I've become desensitized to it. However, this one lady will always stick with me and will go down in history as the craziest Karen I've ever dealt with. I was working one Monday and it was during a school break, so I was relieved not to be dealing with the usual high school crowd. But that relief went away as soon as Karen entered with her son. She had the haircut, the scowl, you name it. Hello, welcome to CFA. Will this be dine-in or carry-out? To go, I'm in a hurry! Okay, what can we get started for you? Karen places her order, then it comes time to pay. I have a coupon for a free grilled sandwich, but my son hates your grilled sandwiches, they're gross. Can you just give me a fried one instead? I'm sorry, I can't do that. The card is for a grilled sandwich. Well, seriously, I need your manager. I'm pretty sure I can get a fried sandwich with that. I get the manager. She says the exact same thing I said. My friend is the operator of a Chick-fil-A nearby, and he always lets my son have a free sandwich. Why can't you do it here? It's against our policies. We can't just give it to you unless you have a coupon for it. Get me your policy book. I'm positive you can give my son a free sandwich with this coupon. My manager went to the back to get the policy handbook. Well, she pretended to. We didn't actually have a physical copy of the book. It was all online. At this point, other customers started lining up. So I asked Karen if I can help other customers while she waits. Sure, go ahead and help other people. It's not like I have anywhere to be. Ma'am, I couldn't find the handbook. But I called our operator to validate and he said we can't do it. Are you kidding me? I hope you know that I have Truett Cathy's personal phone number and I will report your incompetence. My son is hungry and you can't even get him a sandwich? I will never be back. Okay, have a nice day, bye. Karen then yanks her embarrassed-looking son and drags him out of the restaurant. I'd like to note she did come back later that week, despite her threats to never return. For those of you who don't know, Truett Cathy is the founder of Chick-fil-A, and he passed away in 2014. This incident happened in 2018, 4 years after Cathy's passing. Unless this lady can summon the dad or Verizon now has cell coverage in heaven, I doubt she'll be complaining to him anytime soon. 2. This happened at least 3 years ago, so I don't remember most of the conversation. Everything is mostly paraphrased in more of a story format. Cast is EM entitled Mom, ED entitled Dad, or more enabler, SD EM's sweet daughter, me, EB my ex-boyfriend whom I was dating at the time. For some background, EB had a cleaning business he was starting up. He mostly worked on residential houses, but occasionally would work on businesses when they reached out. For a couple of weeks, we had been working for a low-income apartment complex. EB was working on forming a contract with them in hopes of having constant income. EM and ED are the property managers of this apartment complex. The story begins with ED reaching out to EB over the weekend. ED said he had to be out of town for a few weeks, and they were in need of a sitter for their daughter, SD. I think she was around 3 years old. I grew up babysitting kids, so I said I would be interested depending on the pay. I was only working part-time early in the morning, so some extra cash wouldn't hurt. He offered $300 a week for 6 to 8 hours a day. This was less than $10 an hour, being mostly 8-hour days likely. But I figured if it were for a couple weeks I would live, so I agreed. I showed up Monday after working my first job and spoke to EM. Things got a little weird. EM said I couldn't stay at the apartment complex, but she didn't want me to drive all the way to their house. And she wouldn't let me take the child back to mine, which was quite childproof as we had a trouble-making husky puppy at the time. EM said I could take SD to the library and parks and such, so I shrugged and did just that. The kid was actually pretty sweet, even for someone like me who does not really like kids. I enjoyed taking her for long walks on trails. It was a good exercise, and relaxing time in what nature the city contained. Going to the library was a little anxiety-inducing. It was downtown with more people and I struggled with some pretty intense social anxiety at the time, but I pushed through it anyway. The weekends and EM hands me an envelope of cash. I made the mistake of not counting it there, as I didn't want to come off as rude. So I counted it when I got home. Much to my dismay, there was only $125. This wasn't even half of what I agreed to. I was infuriated, but figured there was an explanation. I texted EM saying I needed to talk to her about the pay on Monday. EM never responded, but I figured she was busy. I was much too nice back then. Monday came and I showed up early so we could talk. I had told EM what price I had agreed on with ED. EM became flustered and more aggravated than I anticipated. She said she would talk to ED and figure out what was going on, as she would never pay that much for childcare. I was taken aback and just went to babysitting the child. I texted EB letting him know how the discussion went, and to reread the text between him and ED for any errors or misunderstandings. But everything was as I thought. He asked for a sitter for $300 a week. EB reached out to ED explaining the situation. He said he would be there on Friday and could talk to me then to sort things out. Friday comes around and I show up early again. ED apologized and said he would make sure to pay what he owes from this week, and what I did not receive from the last. I accepted and went about babysitting. I should have gotten the money then, but I was a naive 18-year-old. The day ends, ED is gone, but EM is there. I asked her about pay, as she had no envelope this time. I told her when I spoke to ED he agreed on the $300. EM lost it. EM went on about how she would never pay that much, and if she did, she would just bring SD to a childcare place that I forgot the name of. When she calmed down, I asked her why she didn't just bring SD there if it's cheaper. Big mistake on my part. This set her off again. From what I remember, she said something along the lines of wanting one-on-one childcare, but how it actually is not worth more than $125 a week. It was a generous amount, so on and so forth. I told her I needed to be paid, and that she could call the childcare place mentioned before, as I would not continue watching her daughter. She said ED had my money. I just left. I was nearing panic attack, and it was not worth it to stay and listen to her. I tried contacting them over the weekend, but neither would respond. EM called me the following Monday and asked why I wasn't there to watch SD. I told her I would only come in if she paid me what she owed and paid in advance for that week. EM hung up and never contacted me again. Unfortunately, I did not even receive $125 for the second week, and EB stopped receiving their business. I essentially watched her kid for 2 weeks for $2 an hour. Needless to say, I did not babysit anymore, except maybe for a couple friends in emergencies. 3. I'm a black belt in karate, and that means that I volunteer to judge kids who are testing for belt ranks. If you aren't familiar, to move up a level in karate, you have to learn a bunch of material, and it gets increasingly harder as you go up. It's normally a very fun process, even as it gets harder, with the exception of the black or brown belt test. Most people pass and are given a list of things to improve on. My school is very zen and self-improvement focused. Now, every once in a while, there's someone who doesn't pass and has to repeat the semester, basically. When a judge thinks that should happen, they have to take it to a vote with the higher belt ranking senseis. Enter EK. This kid is trouble. He's always been trouble, and I've judged him quite a few times. He's not a bad kid, mind you, it's his habits. He shows up late, doesn't take karate seriously, which needs to happen as you get higher in rank, will sit for like 30 minutes in the waiting room and do stuff on his phone when he should be at class. His heart just wasn't in it, and it was clear when he was taking his brown belt test, which comes right before a year and a half of rigorous training for black belt. My dojo is very much focused on helping kids who need it the most, and put a lot of care into helping people who come through backgrounds or those who act out. So it all been easy on him. This time I watch him, and he's really, really bad. If you know anything about martial arts, he's not at all where he's supposed to be. People let him skate by, so I fail him, and the senseis agree. He cried, but ultimately at the time I knew it would be a good learning experience, because I went through the exact same thing and it made me more dedicated. Tough love. The next day, a man I'd never met before, ED, finds me and grabs me by the shoulder and pushes me against a wall while I'm about to go into the women's changing room. I immediately go into a defensive position and tell him to get off, but he's just like, "You fucking bitch, you're going to listen to what I have to say." And he keeps me there. I raise my voice calmly and tell him to get off. Remove him from me. Seriously, WTF did he expect, pushing a black belt against the wall? His wife, EM, comes from behind him, arms crossed.
"Get your hands off my husband!"
"This bitch attacked me."
"I saw!"
"No, I did not. I'm going to leave now. They block my path."
"You hurt our son."
"I don't know who your son is. Please leave or I will force myself out."
"You failed him, you bitch."
He grabs my shoulder again. At this point, I just shout for someone. The EM tries to stop me, but a student has already seen what's going on, and I leave with him. I get a sensei and confront them. Sensei, big scary dude who was a Marine, really puts EPs in their place. "Do not touch my students in that way or I will remove you from the building."
"She failed my son. It's not fair."
"Your son was not up to standards."
"She hates him. She hits him when no one is looking and is out to get him."
"I was the one who approves her judgment. She is not signed on to work with your son in any classes." The EPs are silent.
"Well, we have a lot of scheduling problems, so we're late."
"That's not our problem."
"She attacked my husband."
"No, she didn't."
"We pay for his classes. You have to let him pass."
"No, you pay to have him instructed here. We can lead a horse to water, but can't make him drink. With more practice and dedication, we think he would do better to improve and repeat this section." Parents are fuming. After a bit more conversation, ED reaches out for me again, but Sensei is quicker. He puts him into an arm lock and leads him out the doors, while EM is shrieking about calling the cops. Needless to say, they never came back. Sad that I never got to see their kid improve, and I wish I could have helped him. But I'm grateful I never saw them again. 4. Okay, let's start with the situation. My workshop is located in an office building no longer in use. As a result, they opened it up to various smaller companies to work there. I only recently opened the workshop at this location, and I'm still very busy with moving, as well as getting to know what everyone does. There are mostly online shops and artists who have a room there. The hallways where I have my office is locked off with an access code. It started on a Sunday. I like working on Sundays because there is nobody in the building. So, music on and start working. What I do in my workshop is working with leather, faux furs, and faux leathers. So I have an array of knives, scissors, needles, punches, and pliers that would not be misplaced in a Lovecraftian horror scene. Only I needed to go to the bathroom, so I closed the door, but I did not lock it. In hindsight, I should have locked it, and from now on I do that. But at the moment, there was no one. We all know each other, so what could have gone wrong? Famous last words. So I come back to the workshop with my door opened. Strange, I had closed the door, right? I discover much to my surprise that there was a child, perhaps 6, in the workshop nosing around. There are a few small issues with it. One comes to mind when I see the nice shiny metal of one of my scissors. These scissors are my pride. They are high-strength carbon steel alloy, and I keep them razor sharp, perhaps even sharper. They are perfect for cutting through synthetic fabrics, different leathers, and, to my own frustration, human skin if you don't pay attention. We are talking about a 28 centimeter, 11 freedom inches, long blade, hollow ground and polished. So I got a bit nervous when I saw a child with that tool. I also didn't want the child to get scared and drop the scissors. They do not act well when dropped. Now, there were no parents with the child at that moment, so I approached the child to ask what it was doing here and, more importantly, for my scissors back. Shiny objects and children. No luck in getting my quite expensive scissors back, so I got a bit sterner. I do not want to grab for the scissors as it is dangerous for me as it is for the child. Do you know how difficult it is to clean blood from a floor? Now, when I talk stern, I do raise my voice a bit, and it does carry. So finally the mother made an appearance, apparently learning after the fact. She was visiting a therapist with her child. Figures, at first it was quite nice. I asked the mother for my scissors back and to remove her child from my workshop. The mother also did not have luck with getting the scissors back from the child, who now became frustrated that two people were asking for her newfound toy back. The following conversation ensued, translated from Dutch.
Sure there is no harm in letting EC play a bit longer?
Ma'am, I have work to do, and that scissor is quite dangerous. There is a reason I have that on the wall. And I pointed to a large, well-equipped industry first aid kit.
Then why is she here?
Beats me, but I do have to ask you to leave. This is no place for a child. My following error was to take a step to EC with my hand open, and making a gesture for the scissor. The child gave a cry and threw the scissor on the ground. It dropped on its tip, and of course it broke apart. It is sad that a Dutch guy can swear for 2 minutes long uninterrupted, without repeating themselves. And at that moment I had to keep myself from not teaching the child a whole new vocabulary of words that would make the devil ask if you can keep it civilized. It is not the child's fault, it hardly ever is at that age. I took the scissors and the tip carefully from the ground. It was about 1 centimeter long, and there was no way I could grind the blade back to repair the damage. So I looked at the mother. This is a problem.
Yeah, sorry. Here, have a tenner. That should be enough.
Not even close. The scissors cost me about 120 euros apiece. That is 120 euros wholesale price, not retail. I want it replaced, not to make a profit on it. For a moment, I saw her soul leave her body.
Well, you shouldn't have left your door open.
Technically, she was right, but technically, you should always watch your child. The door was closed, just not locked. I do ask for some compensation for the breaking of my tool, since you are responsible for your child. A child who was looking with tears in her eyes to the scissor I was holding. No, you will not get it, demon spawn. I do not know why, but she calmly took some cash from her wallet, threw it at me with the words, "Take your bloody money," and left, roughly pulling on EC's arm, who started to cry at this point. The only consolation is that what she threw at me was a bit more than the cost of new scissors, so technically I made a profit. 5. So in the early 10s, I worked for a prominent hardware store. I sold paint and paint accessories. We had some sensitivity training that included a wide variety of subjects. But we also were told that corporate were doubling our mystery shoppers. So we had to be extra sharp the next couple of weeks. I'm minding the paint counter when a 7-ish boy walks up. He pings my entitled radar when he opens up with,
"You're gonna make me some paint!"
"Of course, demanding kid, what paint do you want?" I go over the different options and learn he is painting his room. He has selected a shade of green that could best be described as turtle soup, that was specifically vomited from someone's nose. But hey, I just make the paint. Knowing the kid won't care, I select the standard sheen for a bedroom, and ready to whip up a gallon of puke. Of course, I won't press a button till a parent or other adult gives me a nod. If the kid demanded a small sample size, I would just make it. The company is out about 50 cents if he doesn't buy it. The kid points and demands I mix up a 5-gallon bucket of our most premium paint. The stuff is thicker than gravy and clocks in at $165 a barrel. On sale for $135, buy now. Now, I have done myself a service. I have had my hands spread and clearly visible on the paint bay. I never reach over the bay, and even ask the kid to place the paint swatch he selected on the desk for me, rather than take it from him. I had him pegged as a mystery shopper's kid, which is something we were warned about. So there is no way in hell that I am making $165 of product for a kid who could fit inside the paint can. I tell the kid he needs an adult for me to start that up. He turns from commanding to demonic with the flick of a switch, and demands that I make his paint. After a few more no's, he runs away. All is well, though I expect a Karen or a mystery Karen on my case any minute now. But time passes, and soon I am called over by my area manager. He takes me to the back of the store, clearly upset at something. We go to his office. He asks me about the kid. Oh boy, here we go. I give him the rundown, and he says I need to wait in the office and talk to no one, especially Karen. So it turns out that the paint kid knew just how to get the paint he wanted. He told his mom that I put my hand in my pants and told him I wanted to paint him. You know, like paint peddlers are known to do. The mother demands a few things. She wants all the stuff in her cart for free, including the paint her son was denied. She also demands a copy of my termination papers and my SSN so she can have me arrested. I sit in the office for who knows how long. Meanwhile, according to my co-workers, Karen has almost called the cops 3 times, but keeps insisting that my manager do it, to prove that he both admits fault and to distance himself from a known pedophile. The cops are never called, but the tapes are reviewed. There, in clear, grainy black and white, it shows my hands spread and on the paint counter, nowhere near any part of the kid, and sure as hell nowhere near my pets. He is also not the least bit painted. It also shows him yelling and kicking my paint bay. Now this evidence only proves one thing, that the hardware store is in on it. The footage is fake, it has to be. And that is about when the cops are called. Karen is removed from the premises, and I am sent home early with full pay. Hey everybody, Hellraiser here, and thank you very much for listening to the Impractical Proudness of Parents. I pop. Sorry, I got carried away there. I pop. Number 33. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Ah, mystery shoppers. Yes, I remember them. I don't have fond memories of them. And this is my second time recording this outro because, well, I went on a bit of a tirade the first time. No one needs to hear that. But yeah, basically a mystery shopper is, their job is to, if you can call it that, their job is to come in and test you. I'm using air quotes there like a monster, but you can't tell. To test you on your ability to do your job. They'll then produce a write-up and judge you on all these criteria. And you can kind of get a feel for who the mystery shopper is. And you know what? I'm going to stop there because if I don't, I'm going to go on a tangent again. They had a knack for coming in at the worst moments. It's like, no. We're going to stop there. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.